Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Phil John's VIP. Thank you so much. I am your host, Phil John, coming to you with another episode. I hope everybody's doing good tonight, man. And everybody's just in a good space and feeling good. And it's just, man, it's been a rough week for a lot of people. But I'm hoping and praying that today will be a good day for you. Why? Because you're still in the land of the living. And that's always something to be happy for. Hey, Justice, thank you for joining me, brother. So without further ado, let me move on. Tonight, I'm bringing on a guest who I have known now for probably, I guess it's good to say, over a decade. You know, yes, I've had actors on. Yes, I've had writers on. Yes, I've had industry people on. But there's a whole community that lies behind the scenes of work that you've seen, television, films that you have seen. And it's a whole community. It's a whole village that comes together and brings you exactly the content that you see on television. The television shows and the streaming series that you watch that that you enjoy for your consumption and you love it and you come after week, or if it's streaming every time episodes are dropped. There's a community and a village that's behind all of that. And as an actor and as an artist, these people are the first people that we see when we have 5 a.m. calls to set. They're sometimes the last people that we say goodnight to before we leave and come home. And these are the people who actually make it work. I like to call them the main arteries of production. And without them, there is no show. Without the main arteries, blood can't flow, talent can't flow, none of that can happen. And I got to introduce you to my brother, Nick Montalvo, who was the first camera AC on crazy shows, Mob Wives, Dynasty. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. We're going to talk about it as soon as I bring them in. But I just want to give you guys an insight on that. You know, it's not just people that you see in front of the camera, but there's a whole world that lies behind the camera. You know, a couple of seasons ago, I had makeup artists on. I had different people who work behind the scenes on just to help you see that it takes a village. And a lot of times when you go on set, you get your coffee. Sometimes the only people you can talk to are the people that's been there an hour or two before you. So Nick Montalvo, who I lovingly refer to as Nicky Dollarz. Why? Because he always working. He stay working. But tonight, he's here with me. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you my boy, my friend, Mr. Nick Dollarz Montalvo. I'm about to bring him on right now. Let me see if I can bring him on. Yeah. Here we go. D, come on, bro. Nicky D, where you at? Where you at? Oh, there he is. Looking good and pristine. Yes,
What's
sir.
up, Phil John?
Looking youthful, sir. Yes.
Thank you. My beard has gotten very gray over the years, so keep a clean shave. It knocks 10 years off. So
It does, man. It's good to see you, dude.
you too, man. And thanks for all the kind words and a nice introduction, man. That was really nice of you.
Thank you. No, thank you, man. You know, it's like I said, I had to stop and think for a minute. Like, we've known each other now for like over a decade.
Yeah,
Now.
I guess it would have been about
2011.
2011. Is that when we started off
Yep.
the clock?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Then yeah, that's over a decade.
Yeah. It's been since 2011, man. And I think that for me, I feel like you've always been consistent with who you were, not only, at work, but just as a person
Thank you, man.
overall. And I think you were one of the people who I really enjoyed coming to work to see every day. So
Thank
tell
you.
me, a lot of people don't know, like, a lot of people are kind of clueless to what actually makes shows tick. And you're one of the people who I know that what you do as far as a first AC, which I want you to explain to everybody else so they can get an understanding of what that is. But you've worked consistently. So first, explain exactly what your job title is. What do you do on set, and how does it make it? How do you make it all work?
Okay, well, as the first they see, your job is to build the camera, turn it on, keep it turned on, and make sure that it's in focus. If there's a problem, you got to fix it. And it doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but when you're on a film set, it's like money's on fire all around you. And there's never a moment to stop and say, oh, wait, hang on, I need to fix this. You know, you have to be ahead of the game. So a lot of what comes in the job description is anticipation, your relationship with the camera operator, who's the person that points the camera. That's very important because you want to make sure that you're in sync with them. And the relationship with the DP is important. You want to be able to approach them and not feel intimidated by the job title. And, you know, but at the end of the day, if the camera's on and it's in focus, you're succeeding at your job. And it's not a job where you get a lot of pats on the back. People just expect it to be done. So, you know, when you go in as an actor and you know, something's supposed to explode behind you and, you know, the tears have to come down, the director's going to tell you you killed it. They're not going to tell me that I killed it when the camera pushes way in and, you know, never lose focus on that eye or that tear coming down. So I like the job because it's, you know, we're the unsung heroes. We keep the show moving, and a lot of shows today, you know, the pace that they want to shoot, there is a lot of dependence on the camera department to be strong and be ready. So I hope that explains what we do.
So where did it start for you as far as getting into this kind of work? I mean, because I feel like I know that you have a love and a passion for it, but where did that come from?
Well, I guess I chose this path when I was in college at University of Georgia. I had to choose a major, and I went through the you know, they used to give you a book this thick with the catalog, all the things that you could study, and so I started going through it. And UGA has a great journalism school, and I started reading about the programs that was there, and there was a major called telecommunication arts. And, you know, the description, it's like, you know, molecular biology. It's easy to get lost trying to read about that. The telecommunication arts was like, learn how to make sonic radio frequencies and cameras and lights and action. And I mean, I was really drawn to that.
Right.
When I was growing up, you know, the family reunions, I had an aunt that always handed me the video camera to shoot at the, you know, family get-togethers and stuff. So I guess it started there, but picking the major and kind of getting oriented to that. And, you know, I could have took that choice of major, you know, into news and stuff. But what I was always really into was the lights and the camera and the tripod and, you know, just making it all work and, you know, making it artful and beautiful. And, you know, that's kind of how I got into it. At UGA, I did an internship with a studio here in Atlanta. It's not in business anymore, but the building still stands. And I believe they still shoot stuff there. But that studio was called Artisan Picture Works, not to be confused with Artisan Entertainment or whatever the big Hollywood studio is called, but it was called Artisan Picture Works. And that was off of Howell Mill Road here in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And I went there, and I, you know, had a very good relationship with my mentor, and he had me putting lights away and, you know, up on a ladder, hanging stuff, go get in the van and go pick up some camera gear. And, you know, they were teaching me about back focusing those lenses, which, you know, is just a highly technical thing to make sure the camera's always in focus, but it's something that you have to do with that particular style of lens. And
is that what you have to have your macro?
Sometimes you have to have the macro.
Right.
But
I did take the camera class once, so that's why I know about that. But back focusing was always hard for me.
Yeah. The whole thing behind it is those broadcast style lenses, and a lot of zoom lenses. If you go way in on something and you focus on it, you want it to be in focus when you pull back out. So that's what back focusing is all about. It's a skill that, you know, I don't use it too much now, but you know, it comes up occasionally and you still got to use it. So
Would you recommend people actually? Do you think people can kind of guerrilla style it, or do you think education is key in order to being an effective cameraman?
I think that to get into the camera department, the most important, there's two things. You got to know what you want, and you got to be brave. And you have to be ready to make mistakes and own it. And you just have to be very detail oriented. Now, if it takes going to college to get you there, because when I was 18, I didn't know Jack. I didn't know how to pay bills. I didn't know how to, hold a job. I didn't know how to do anything. So for me personally, I feel like the experience of going to, a 4-year college taught me a lot. But if I would have known at a young age that was the career path that I wanted to follow, then I don't think that I would have needed to go to a 4-year college, because I took a bunch of classes about things that didn't really help me, at least it gave me a broad understanding of the world, like between, learning about like biology and foreign languages and calculus and, all of that stuff.
Arts, yeah.
It all helps you in some kind of way, but I think for me personally, it took college to kind of mature and understand the necessity of having a career and staying focused on it, and just getting better day by day, and growing with it. And it took me a long time to get in the hang of it. But
did you shoot any films when you were in school?
Yeah, we always had like little class projects. I was very involved at UGA with, especially towards my final years, there was a program where we would go and shoot interviews like the football players and the coaches and stuff, because UGA, most people should know that we're a gigantic college football powerhouse. 2 years back-to-back national champions. Got to put that out there for my dogs. But anyway, we would always go and shoot those little stories for there was the show was called Game Day, and I think they broadcast it on one of the local Athens channels but kind of before they would broadcast the football game. And there was also, news stories and stuff, so I would shoot that stuff. And there was a really special experience I had where I went to, they gave me a scholarship to go to Mexico. And so I spent 6 months, a full semester in Mexico. And while I was there, I shot a short film with some friends. And, that was really fun.
Was it documentary style film or?
No, well, it was a narrative style film, but it wasn't very good. I'll tell you that. It's fun for the memories, but it was, a fictitious story about, it's kind of weird actually, but it was about a teacher that had sort of a fetish towards one of his students. So that's all I'll really say about that.
Okay.
But and in the end he wakes up and it's all just a dream.
Yeah.
So, but that was fun, and I made some priceless friendships down there in Mexico, and people that I'm still friends with today. So
let me ask you this question, Dollarz. It's a two-part question. One, what was it like going from doing stuff independently into the main, like what I would consider to be like mainstream or the professional world? Mm-hmm. And also the difference between, because I know you've done reality and you've done scripted. Mm-hmm. So what was it like going from independent to like profession to the professional setting, that industry world that we all know? And then the difference between the narrative and the reality. And what's that like?
Well, to answer your first question, I guess seeing the difference between the independent stuff and the larger productions would have started when I went to New York. I met you working in New York.
Yeah.
And, you're a New Yorker, and I moved there in 2009. No, before then, it was 2007.
Yeah.
I moved to New York in 2007, and like as soon as I got there, I'd done like some music videos and stuff, and I knew how to turn on big lights because I'd worked at a rental house, and somehow got hired as a PA on it was Law and Order, Criminal Intent, and then that led to me talking up the electricians, which led to me working like the next week as an electrician with these union guys on a gigantic movie directed by Robert De Niro called The Good Shepherd. And
I remember that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was additional photography. You know, they come back and they shoot a couple of scenes that they missed along the way, or, you know, they get more funding from the studios, or they want to reshoot something because something was wrong. But I got on that set and I was like, this is it for me. Like, I want to be on this big stuff. But, you know, because I was not a member of that union and because I kind of stalled out on joining because that was Local 52, somebody had a talk with me and they convinced me that it probably wasn't the path for me. Because they said, look at me, you know, I'm almost 40 years old, and, you know, every Saturday morning I'm up at 5 a.m. pulling cables out of a gutter.
Right.
You know, it's just like the thought of myself being old and, you know, pulling cables out of the gutter with like rats and, you know, water and trash. And I mean, and there's people making a living doing that. They're paid well to do it.
Right.
But,
that was and those are mostly location shoots, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the city.
Yeah. But to your point, what you were saying when you opened up, I mean, there's a lot of people that are not, you know, they're behind the camera, but they're not doing the glorious jobs. They're doing the dirty jobs. But I chose not to join 52, and I kind of was back to the beginning. But some friends of mine got me in the shuffle PAing on commercials. And so, but while PAing on the commercials, I met some other people. I met a guy, a hip hop artist named Mr. Complex. And so I used to go shoot music videos and short films with him. So that was sort of my independent spirit, hanging out with him.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we did a lot of cool stuff together. My first trip to LA was with Mr. Complex, and, you know, still a friend of mine to this day. But that would be like
Complex from Love and Hip Hop, right?
No.
You know, okay.
He's not from Love and Hip Hop, but he's act will be associated with like Pharoah Monch, and you know, he's from Queens. You know, kind of came up in like Tribe Called Quest scene, and you know, those are like his heroes, like Run DMC and LL Cool J. You know, that's kind of like his generation. But anyway,
that's my generation. I don't want to say it, but I got too hyped. You say Queens, right, I'm like, okay, that's me.
But anyway, so that's kind of where I got going with independent stuff, and I would meet other people. But you know, my day job was PAing on these commercials.
Yeah,
and so I'd be on like a Papa John's commercial or like an Olive Garden commercial, and you know, you'd always meet people who were also PAs who wanted to get out and wanted to, you know, sort of spread their creative wings. And I met a lot of people that way and started, you know, shooting little projects with them. And, you know, when I was at that crossroads, when I was going to join Local 52 and become an electrician, though, it was kind of like somebody else told me, hey, well, you could spend all that, you know, those thousands of dollars and go join that union, or you could spend thousands of dollars, go buy a camera and start shooting stuff. So I used that camera to shoot those projects with Mr. Complex and all the other, you know, aspiring filmmakers that I was meeting while PAing on, you know, commercials and productions all throughout. And, you know, I did, you know, get on some reality show sets. I mean, if there's a job, I'll take it. You know, if I'm not doing anything, I want to work. I want to put my time to work. And so that's why sometimes I'll be on, you know, an ensemble reality show like Mob Wives or Married to Medicine. But then I'll turn around and be on, you know, the movie or the TV series or whatever. As long
what's the contrast, though? What's the contrast between the two? What's the difference?
Well, from my perspective, the scripted stuff has a lot more planning going on. And so, you know, when you go to work, you get the call sheet on those shoots. Like on a scripted show, you get the call sheet. You know that you're shooting this scene, and this scene. And these are the people that are in it. And the total pages is going to be, you know, 8 pages, 10 pages. But it's like, you know, each scene, like, you know, you have like a checklist. And so, okay, we shot scene 117, so let's check that off. And now we're going to
you live and die by the shot list.
Right. And so, you know, that's how that works. But the call sheet on a scripted show or an unscripted show, ensemble reality show, you know, you'll have like a scene planned for the beginning of the day and a scene planned for the end of the day. And the scene at the beginning of the day will be like two members of your cast getting together and having coffee. But then later you got to go to this all cast event later where everybody's going to, you know, get together. Somebody's going to get in an argument with somebody else. There's going to be mayhem. The argument's going to spill out into the street. The camera operators have to follow that. When you're the camera assistant on those jobs, you have to be ready with, you know, some batteries in a bag, and you got to be ready to go outside. And, you know, the camera goes down, you got to change that battery real fast. You know, on an unscripted show, when the drama's happening, you cannot cut the camera. You can't say, wait, guys, hold your argument because I've got to change tapes. You know, you have to rotate, you know, because those shows you'll have, you know, 5 or 6 guys holding cameras because everybody's got a shot on all the key people. Yeah. You can't take the camera off the person that's blowing their mind, and they got to get even the quiet person. They have to have a camera on that person, filming their reaction at all times because they might, even with a darting look, they might tell something to the audience, or, you know, sometimes they're telling the story with their eyes, not with what's coming out of their mouth. So anyway, if A camera, B camera, all the cameras are running out of tape, you have to change the media one at a time and change the battery one at a time so that the other 4 cameras can stay up while you're changing this camera. You've got to go through them, and you have to do it quietly. And, you know, where the camera's at, say somebody's over here, you're filming somebody, but then they're reacting to something that's going on behind the shoulder. Well, that camera's got to swing around, and now you're back here and you're in the shot, and you got to dive out real quick. So in the unscripted world,
you know, that's interesting because on unscripted film and TV, you know, as the actor, I'm always thinking, please don't let me be the one while we have to do another take. Yeah. Please don't let me be the one, right? So I always make sure that I'm prepared. But you know, I'm hearing you talk. I'm like, oh, okay, wait a minute. So you guys kind of feel the same way. Like, don't let it be me. Be the reason why we have to stop. And
well, yeah, I mean, if the camera melts down, that's why you got 5 cameras up. So the 4 guys can cover, the 4 operators can cover the scene, and then that camera can be, you know, fixed or put back together. And when you're the assistant, you're the one putting it together. The operator's like, come on, man, hurry that shit up. Change that lens, change that, you know, battery. Let's go. I got to get in there. You know, it's about to go down.
Right.
You know, so.
right. So you know, I always thought that, like, from doing ATL assistant camera said, "Welcome to Kindred."
Oh, that's my buddy Leland. He's
yeah. Are you guys shooting that?
Well, still? We did shoot Kindred, but Kindred we've finished shooting it, and it's no longer. Well, they canceled it. I think you can still go on Hulu and watch it, but they're not going to make another season.
Got you.
But it was fun while it lasted, wasn't it, Leland?
So here's what I want to ask you. Well, actually, I wanted to comment on it. You know, I assume a lot of times, like when I'm watching reality TV, like the camera guys and the crew are like, you know, it's like being in a room that you want to leave, but you can't. Like, you gotta go where, like cops, right? They can't run from the crime. They gotta run to the crime. So as a cameraman, do you always feel like when it comes down to, like, you know, drama that's kind of, they're forced to play up for the camera, do you ever feel like, man, I don't feel like following them, man, because I don't know what to expect? There's going to be a glass thrown. There's going to be chairs thrown. Like, is it ever a moment where you just say,
well, I haven't done a lot of reality TV in a while, but, you know, it's just, you see some heinous stuff. Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't really know how to answer that question. Yeah. And, but I mean, yeah, I've been there when they fight. I remember you telling me when I was working on My Wives that you were a fan of Drita's, and of course I've seen Drita.
I
I've
love
seen her have a
Drita.
meltdown once or twice. You know, Drita doesn't know me, but I know
I love a
Drita.
girl who know how to box.
Well, she's wild. But I
Yeah.
mean, they do things like, I don't know, the producers will say, oh, well, they're probably going to fight and everybody's mad here. So let's get like plastic glasses rather than glass made out of glass. Or like they'll have like plastic, you know,
Cups.
utensils or whatever so nobody gets stabbed. I mean, that show was crazy anyway. Those people, I'm blessed to have worked with them, but they were all nuts. And that's why there was a TV show about them.
Yeah. So like I know like you worked on Dynasty and other shows in Atlanta. What's the difference to you between the New York market and Atlanta market
Well,
as far as working?
Atlanta's a lot more about like TV and movies. And there is a commercial community out here, but it's not as big. I feel like New York, there's a lot of media that they can make that doesn't really fit into TV or movies or commercials. Like,
well, they hired us for commercials. That's why I fly. That's why I met. Let me just say this: I came down to work in commercials in Atlanta, and I met a young man on set that looked like Nick.
Yeah,
it looked like he could be his little brother. And let me tell you, the world and the industry is so small that I'm like, wait a minute. You have to be related to him. And then just so happened that you both guys, when you went down to Atlanta, you both started working together.
That's right. That's right. I haven't seen him in a while, but we always yuck it up. You know, I can see where we might have some resemblance. Of course, he's a big Bulldogs guy too, so he's a good dude.
And I you know, it's always like I enjoy working in Atlanta though. When I come down. You know, whenever they call me down. I've worked in Atlanta twice. Once on a film with Loretta Devine, and I did the commercial that I did for churches.
I did a commercial not long ago, and the director was from New York, and he was cool. We had a little chit chat, and he was, you know, I asked him, you know, well, he was telling me that you know, I've been talking to the agency people, and they had come in from Mexico City. And so, you know, I'm like, well, if these guys are coming in from Mexico City, but you live in New York, why are you guys filming here? And what he told me was that the reason was that the target for the product that they were trying to sell was, you know, kind of like a, you know, middle class, like, you know, Southern male, because it was an alcohol product. So, you know, they were going for like, you know, sort of your armchair quarterback type, their, you know, as their target. So it was just really interesting that, and plus some cost reasons too, is why they chose to shoot here. And, you know, obviously I'm grateful for that because they hired me and hopefully they call again.
And you could move home and work.
Yeah.
Beat that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what is your dream job? What do you hope to do? What would you like to do?
Right now, I wish I was working on Ted Lasso because that's the show that I enjoy the most that I'm watching. And in fact, I was watching an episode the other day, and one of the directors that we worked with on Kindred, I saw her name as directing the episode of Ted Lasso, and I was like, dang it, you know, like I was happy for her, obviously, but you know, it's like, why couldn't it have been me? You know,
right.
Of course, they're not gonna fly me out to England to go work on that show, but I'm really enjoying that show a lot. Or like you know, a season of White Lotus. But those are, you know, those are the big TV shows that everybody knows right now. But I really enjoy those shows.
White Lotus did pretty well this award season.
Yeah. It was great. I mean, it's a super entertaining show. You know, the first season was great. The second season was even better. Debatable. Some people say they like the Hawaii season better, but I like the second season better.
So let me ask you 5 questions that I ask all my guests.
All right.
Onto the show.
Okay.
You can feel free to answer them however you want to answer them.
All right.
Don't be nervous, Nick. It's just
I'm not.
questions. So take a breath. All right. So first question: what do you know now about the industry opposed to what you thought you knew about it when you first entered?
Um, that it's all an illusion.
Hmm.
You know, even though we're behind the scenes, part of our job is that we have to act a little bit. You know, you have to play. You have to play the role. It's like Shakespeare said, "The world is a stage."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that behind the cameras too. You know, somebody, or hell, even not on a film set. At the school, somebody's got to play the principal. Somebody's got to play the straight A student. You know, it's
Yeah.
the same everywhere. But you know, at the end of the day, one of my good friends told me a long time ago. Can I cuss on the show? Did I already cuss? One of my friends told me that, you know, like people get so wound up about all these little details,
Yeah.
but it's all
Yeah.
BS, you know, and that's true. You know, it's like we're all there acting like we care, but what we really want is to earn our checks and to go home. You know,
Yeah.
obviously caring and doing a good job is our job. Is what we're paid to do.
Yeah.
But it's like we're not curing cancer. We're not, you know, sending somebody to the moon. We're reflecting light onto a light box and collecting that in a little machine and turning that into a movie that somebody can watch at home to forget about their trouble.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so you know nobody should get hurt doing that.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously, you know, we have to care to a certain extent, but you know, it's the irony is that even though we're just there to shine light onto a sensor in a box, you know, through a lens, it costs a lot of money because you know they're paying the actors, they're paying the people driving the vehicles, they're going everywhere. They're paying for the gas that goes in the vehicles. They're paying for the food that everybody's eating, the clothes that they're wearing.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's unfortunately it's really expensive, but nobody should ever get hurt doing this work. And you know, it's just I guess to answer your question in short, it's like do your best, but at the end of the day, it's all just an illusion.
Yeah.
If that makes, I hope that makes sense. And you know,
To me, it makes perfect sense.
yeah,
Me,
yeah,
you know, I hope the people watching, I hope they get it.
I
You
hope
know,
so too.
I completely get it. So
I
let
hope
me
so
ask you
too.
this: what advice would you give your 19-year-old self?
I would tell myself to not to be scared, just be fearless, because fear is what I think that if I ever felt held back in any kind of way, it was from being afraid, afraid to fail, afraid to succeed, afraid to get that big job. You know, might be the reason why I'm not working on Ted Lasso right now. Like I was, you know, afraid to buy the ticket to fly to London. You know, I mean,
Right.
who knows? But just being fearless and confident. I would tell myself to always do that. Know what you know what you don't know, and just always be genuine and sincere. I think I've never had trouble with that, but you know, being fearless is something. It's taking time to get that way, and maybe I still am not completely fearless, but um, being afraid gets you nowhere. You know, you can't be afraid to speak to anybody. You can't be afraid to speak up when there's a problem. You have to, you know, you have to do what's right, and if you're doing what's right, you'll 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 be all right in the end.
Yeah. I gotta say, like, you know, I think that for me, and I'll move on to my third question, but for me, you know, I feel like you've always carried that kind of Southern charm with you when you work.
Thank you.
And that's why it makes it so easy to talk to you. You know, a lot of times, you know, I was happy to see you on Off the Clock because you offered that kind of what I consider grace on set to people.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, for me, it was like, you know, I remember coming on the Off the Clock for the first time, and I was just trying to keep my age a secret. You know, so it was, you know, for to be able to kind of like get to know everybody, but just talking to you, you've always been genuine to me.
Well, thanks. You've always been genuine to me too. You know,
Yeah.
I know that 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 project was not without its challenges for a lot of us, but we did it, you know. I
Yeah,
can't believe
yeah,
we
yeah.
made 21 episodes of that show.
Could you believe it?
And it is that how many we made? 21 over 2
Is,
years? Or
is it what?
Wasn't it like 21 episodes that we did, or 24?
It was 20. It was about. It was about. No. It was 20. It was 24.
Yeah.
Right. And the reason why I know that it's 24 is because on episode 24, they kind of Aunt Viv'd me.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I know. I'm still a little salty about it.
But was that after Jarrett left?
That was
that
after Jarrett. Okay. That was after Jarrett left.
And that would have been after I left too. So
yeah, and we were yeah.
But anyway.
Does
your audience know the off the clock story, or they know what it is when we're talking about it?
I probably mentioned it a few times because I've had Jarrett on, and we talked about it. So people kind of know there was a show for Intel, and there's some clips that are still on YouTube.
Yeah,
from it.
It would have made a good actual show, I think.
It really would have made a good show, man. We pretty had the makings. I always tell Jarrett that he spoiled me. He spoiled me.
Yeah,
you know, once you've been on the show and you know how things are supposed to be done, you hold that expectation everywhere you go.
Yeah.
You know, but then you realize, you got to learn how to move with the punches because every show is not a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. And we shot once a month, right? So
sometimes more than that, depending on the promos. Because one time we shot like 2 weeks straight.
Oh,
for the Dark Knight promo.
That's right.
Yeah.
So for anybody listening that doesn't know what Off the Clock is, Phil, John, and I met because I was the DOP, and he was one of the main actors of this show that it looked like a sitcom, but it was training content for
Intel.
For Intel. And they showed it to retail employees, but I guess they made it like a sitcom to make it fun so that, people watching it wouldn't get bored and might even soak some of it in. But I'll tell you, all that stuff that I used to shoot with Jarrett, it always frustrated me every time I went to Best Buy and I wanted some help, and the people were just dirt.
They were horrible.
And I'm got a big sign flashing, "Hello, customer, I need some help." It's like I shot all those videos for nothing. At least the check cleared.
Right. So. All they did was watch the episodes and complained about it. That's it. So we would watch the comments come in, and they were like, "Oh man."
There was a comment section.
Yeah.
Off the clock.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. And we would see it in the comments, and they would talk about the characters, but that's it. Forget about the training class. They would talk about everything else, but the actual training content.
Okay, no comments about the light or the camera, right?
No comments about the light or the camera.
Cool.
Maybe some edits. There was some edits I heard them talking about, but no. The lighting and all that stuff always seemed really good to me.
Yeah.
Especially with a lot of the green screen stuff was really yeah. So my third question. I'm sorry. I gotta get to my third question. So what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh my God. Personally, or in the film industry, or so I got one daughter, and I just want her to be well and taken care of forever. My wife, if something was ever happen to me, I want her to be taken care of forever, and for them to have as many opportunities and blessings as I had. That's kind of a cookie cutter answer, but I guess in the film industry, I like helping people. I feel like I help people. I just want to be remembered for being genuine and not a pain in the butt, and I'm very content as a camera assistant, and I want to keep doing that. And I just want to, build my repertoire, work on bigger, better stuff.
So no
Maybe,
ambitions of becoming a director?
you know, I got little projects that I want to write and shoot and direct. Um, so maybe I should do that. Maybe I should call it the Phil John Challenge and start doing some of that.
I'm just saying.
No, you're right, man. I should do it because,
Yeah.
somebody who's been around as much as me, I like to just keep my head down, do my work, focus on what's important to me, try to help out when I can, but with the creativity. But, mostly as a camera assistant, I'm a technician. I've seen a lot of people who are good at their job. I've seen a lot of people who are not so good at their job. But I feel like the people who are good at their job, they really know what they want and they really don't compromise.
Yeah.
I think that's, and coming back to what you said when what would I tell my younger self? I would have told myself not to compromise. Because I think when I used to aspire to be a DOP, I always had to make a lot of compromises, whether it was because of the budget or whatever. And I think that I would have told my younger self not to do that as much.
What brings you joy?
Uh, uh wow. When stuff's going on, you know what? I love working on comedies. Like when working on something where people are really laughing, I really enjoy that. That's at work when funny stuff happens, whether it's behind the cameras or in front of the cameras. But working on projects that are comedic, I really enjoy that. So that brings me joy. And outside of work, my family, my friends, good times, and just not worrying about where the next job's coming in or the next check. But but even when
What are you grateful for?
even when that does happen, though, you got to be grateful for the time that you have because later you're not going to have it. I was telling somebody the other day, there's 3 currencies in the world: money, time, and love. And so it's easy to remember money because it's actually a tangible currency, or maybe it's not so tangible now, but it's a thing where you look at a bank account and say, oh, okay, I got this much money, I can chill. But time is, it's easy to forget that that's one of the currencies of life too, because like we were talking about all the time that you and I have known each other, and even if we haven't seen each other in person since Jarrett's wedding, it's like
that was the last time I saw you.
But now we have social media, so I'm always kind of aware of what you're doing, or you're aware of me, and it's just like seeing your face, knowing that nothing's going poorly for you. That's part of the currency as well, because now I've known you for over a decade, and you can call that a compounding interest of knowing each other. And then love is like that's one of the most important currencies. What I tell people is that if you got a problem at work, you just got to put more love into it. The solution is always love. How do you put more love to this problem? That's how you're going to solve it. So love brings me joy, Bill John.
And what are you grateful for? I don't know but did you answer that in that question?
No, well, I mean, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful that I grew up in a small town. I'm grateful that I've lived in a big town. I'm grateful for my youthful glow. And grateful for my friends and my family. And I'm truly blessed. Countless blessings, really. Think about it often.
Yeah. What are you working on next?
Well, I'm doing a commercial next week that is for a gas station / convenience store. And then there's talks of a lower budget movie in May.
Okay.
I don't want to talk too much about that, but we're going to shoot for about a month. And that's something I'm looking forward to, because I'm going to work with some people that I've been wanting to work with for a while. And you know, with work being so scarce right now, I'm really fortunate that something is coming up. And almost reluctant to mention it, just in case somebody watches that. People like, yo, man, get me a job. I get it though, you know. We have to stay in touch and be connected and be aware of what everybody's doing. So you know, but you know, I don't think that there's too many people that I can add to the sauce right now. But I'm excited about the people that I am going to work with, and excited to see what it is, because in the last show, I just know it's going to contrast a lot from the last show I did. And you know, change is good. I don't know if it's going to be funny or like action packed. You know, I haven't seen a script or anything, but I'm excited about that, because you know, just getting up and getting going is the best part, because you get to kind of get organized and stuff, and then later the wheels fall off and you're limping along and grow a long beard, and you don't sleep for a few weeks, and then you look back and you say, what happened? We made a show.
You know what I'm grateful for? I'm grateful for the opportunity to be in a business where I feel like I'm able to watch the growth of other people. You know, I'm so happy that I'm able to, and not just other actors, but just writers, producers, people who work behind the scenes. You know, so that's why when something happens in one department, like this whole writer strike that's pending, it's like, you know, it affects everybody. It's like if one part of the body is aching or in pain, it affects the entire body.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
but I'm grateful for the
sure.
opportunity of people, and just to see them grow. You know, like I'm excited to see what you're doing. You know, I'm excited to see what, you know, Christina Kauf is doing. I'm excited to see what everyone that I've worked with along the way is doing, because I know the dedication and the sacrifice that it takes to get to that point.
For sure. Not allowed to quit, you know?
Oh, no, that's not an option.
Don't quit.
No way. That is not an option.
But with things slowing down, though, I mean, I have had conversations with people recently where, like, you know, I don't know if I can stick this out much longer, you know? People that are good, too. And I just know that what's going to happen to most of them is that the minute they get out, they're going to hate that job, and things are going to take a turn for the better, and then they're going to leave that job and come running right back. That's what I like to
always. That's the life of an actor, is to get a job, hate it, and then when it picks up, quit. And come back. You know,
I'd be lying to you if I told you I didn't almost quit this line of work a handful of times, and I'm glad that I didn't. That's another thing to be grateful for, just sticking to it. I have a good friend that convinced me to get my head out of my ass and stick to it one time, and you know, what he told me was that, you know, what are you doing to market yourself? And you know, made me realize that I wasn't doing much to market myself, and that was slowing me down. So
sometimes you just got to show up, even if it's to just show face. It could be parties, it could be, you know, this is the business of schmooze, man.
Yeah, and just getting the message out too.
Yeah,
you know, that you're a person, you're around, easy along with. That's
branding, and I think that social media plays a big part of it. I mean, that's why I started and we talked about this before. That's why I started Phil John's V.I.P, because I stopped wanting to feel like I was competing with everybody, because it's my truth is being able to be celebratory for somebody else. Like, I don't like the feeling of being resentful and having that, why me? Why is not me? Why him? Why is not me? No, I want to be able to cheer you from that. There's a poem called Test of a Man. And there's a line in that poem that says, a coward can smile when there's none to fear and note his progress bars, but it takes a real man to stand and cheer while the other fellow stars. So sometimes, anybody could note their accomplishments, but when things are not going right, or things are not going the way you want them to go, you should be able to genuinely applaud the next person as they succeed.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I think it's good, man. I think you need a network TV show. You can interview me, and I was telling you before, I was so nervous to get on Instagram live and people watch this.
No,
But
man, you did a great job, man, brother. I thank you so much for coming on. You could rewatch it if you want to, but it's good, and I'm sure you taught me a lot, and you taught the people who are watching a lot.
I
So
hope so, man. I hope so.
and I think it's necessary because a lot of people don't. A lot of people in your department don't really have a voice to let people know what you do. And like I said when I introduced you, it's like you're the main artery of what brings it together. It's like if those veins are not in place for blood to flow through, man, it can't come together. It can't work. How many independent films or projects have you seen are complete trash because those little things are not done? The lighting sucks. The sound's horrible. The editing is just bad. It's almost like you can see what the vision was, but you missed the mark because you didn't take the time to make sure that the vital organs was in place and healthy and running well so that it could give you a quality product. Actors are just the icing on the cake. It's not the ingredients. It's not the thing that makes the cake bake. It's just the icing.
Yeah. Well, it takes a good actor to know that too, because you know that if the sound is whack, it doesn't matter how well you acted.
What? Man, I know if the scripts to the teleprompter is whack.
Yeah.
Because those breakouts, man, were horrible. Run-on sentences, all kinds of stuff. I used to get so frustrated doing those teleprompters, man.
I know. Well, it was just a challenge. You had to climb a mountain. It was but it was real Moby Dick kind of scenario. But I mean, you did it though.
Yeah.
It was just really wordy, and
it was really.
A lot of,
but we got through it for sure. We got through for sure. Thank you so much, Brother Nick, for coming on tonight, for lending your time and having the courage to come on and share all that you do in this business. I'm looking forward to the day when we can work on something together again. Hopefully it's a long running successful series.
I'd love that. I'd love that.
So we know we're going to be working for a couple of seasons.
Something hilarious, please.
Of course. Well, yeah. That would be probably my comfort zone. But I did something a little different on what I did East New York. I did an episode of East New York that aired a couple of weeks ago.
I watched it yesterday.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a little
you look
different.
Cool in it, dude.
Yeah, it was something.
You look like a real New Yorker.
I know.
Might be how you got cast. I'm not sure.
What do you say?
It might be how you got cast.
Yeah. I'm from Queens, so East New York is borderline Brooklyn and Queens. So like, I know that character. I've seen him before. I know who he is. So it was a little easier. But if I was working with Jared, I probably would have had somebody throwing eggs at me and running down the street with kids.
Well, they got to bring that character back more though, because I don't think it's just because I know you personally.
Yeah.
When I watched it, I was like, there's a lot more to that character, and that's a lot of times the TV shows. The more seasons they go, they start bringing back characters that obscure characters that you saw in like some episode, and then they start peeling back the layers, and then that person,
we shall see. We shall see.
Isn't that where Urkel came from on Family Matters years ago? He just kind of showed up one day, and then now he's the star.
Now he's
remember that?
We never know. They never. You never know who the audience is going to resonate with.
That's
what I mean? You walk into a situation and you're not really what they're looking for until you go in and you do what you do, and all of a sudden, boom, you're on the show.
Man, I'd love to live that one day, like just the life of going through castings and stuff. I feel like I would take like not getting cast like hard, like I wouldn't want to get like you know, I wouldn't want to feel like a sense of rejection from it, even though it's not really what it is. It's just, you know, I mean, how do you do it? Let me interview you for a
Oh,
second. Like if you see a part that you want and you don't get it, how do you let that roll off your back? You know, like
I've come to the I've come to the place now where I get it. I do the audition and I let it go. You know, even when my agent will call me up and say, "Hey, look, you know, you're on first refusal, or you're on the short list, or it's between you and someone else," I still don't get excited. I don't get excited until he calls me and says, "You booked the job."
yeah,
don't get excited. It's like I keep going, you know. So if I have vacation plan, I'm going to go on vacation. If I had, you know, to attend a birthday party or whatever, I'm going to attend that. My life does not stop because I had a callback, right? If
yeah,
once I book the job, then I start to readjust.
yeah.
But before then, no. I mean,
When
and
you're working with
there's some things that I did where I thought, damn, that was Academy Award winning stuff.
yeah,
And then I don't get it. And there's some things I just like kind of rush and do really quick and I book. So you really can't tell. You don't know what they're looking for. You don't know. It's not, and as an actor, that's really none of your business. Your
yeah,
business is to do the best that you can do, play around with it. You know, I've come to like, you know, be okay with self-taping now. And after
mm-hmm.
that, you know, I just let it go, you know.
And is that still a thing that people do a lot of, is self-taping
Yeah,
for
yeah,
your auditions and
yeah.
stuff?
I still a lot. There's some in-person auditions, but a lot of people are self-taping. Yeah,
Okay. Would you say like, I don't know, 80% is self-tape
yeah. I
or?
believe it's pretty up there. Yeah, because it cuts down on time, it cuts down on studio time. You don't have to be exactly in the city to actually audition
Mhm.
anymore. You know, it's not like before where we would run and hop off the train, walk across town, go in one building, come out another, go in, you know, it's not like that anymore. I think it's slowly coming back as far as theater is concerned, stuff like that. But for film and television, no, I think it's a lot. It's still a lot of self taping going on, you know, because
Yeah.
even because sometimes we are auditioning for stuff that is not in New York.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, I mean, they
So
film everywhere. Atlanta, California, Canada.
yeah, yeah, and I plan on going back up to Canada again sometime this year. So
Oh yeah?
you know,
Where you
yeah, man.
going?
Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They work a lot up there.
yeah. I know people in the business up there. You know,
Okay.
I've always known people in the business up there. So for me to go back, I just want to go and continue to network. That's part of it, just networking and continuing to build those relationships.
Yeah.
Those are super important.
Would you
You
say
know,
that that's the city where they do the most filming in Canada, or is it like between
Toronto,
there and?
I believe Toronto, Vancouver, they shoot a lot up there.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I was watching that one show, Virgin River. That's in Canada
Is
somewhere.
that Vancouver or Toronto?
I think it's in British Columbia somewhere. It's in
Okay.
the West.
So it's over
Uh,
probably over in Vancouver.
yeah, I'm
All
embarrassed
right, brother.
to I'm embarrassed to say that I watched that show, but I like it so
That's
well.
our time. That's our time. That's our time.
All right,
So
man.
I'm going to wish you good night, and I want to respect your time. So let's stay in touch.
We
All
will.
right.
We will.
God bless,
Thanks,
bro.
Phil John. Thank
No,
you, brother.
easy. Have a good
Take it
night.
easy,
Good night,
man.
everyone.
Thanks for having me.